All right, on here though, Pastor Steve, where's it at? Okay, Kenzie has a question. She says, can you clarify the difference between soul and spirit?
No.
There you go, Kenzie. All right, next question.
You know what, Kenzie? All I know is that there is a difference, and so my short answer is no, because I don't know for sure. I couldn't tell you biblically and argue the whole thing, to the nth degree that I would be right on this whole thing. The reason that I know that there's a difference is because there's a couple of different places in the Bible where it speaks about that fact, and really evident one is in Hebrews chapter 4 in verse 12. And it says this: "For the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. There's no creature hidden from his sight." And the passage goes on. And so what that passage is telling you is that soul and spirit are tight. But the Word of God is something that can distinguish between those two things, just like joint and marrow. Joints and marrow, talking about bones. Those are things that are part of the same element. In the idea of a bone. And but again, you can have a division that takes place because of that. So the Word of God is something that can make distinctions in areas that are really tight, is the point that's being made in that passage. There's another passage in Thessalonians where Paul says, I pray that your whole body, soul, and spirit would be basically blessed. And so he defines us as a three-part being. When I'm making a distinction, and this is opinion, it's informed opinion, but it's opinion nonetheless. When I'm making a distinction between the two, generally speaking, soul, when it's defined as something that's distinct in and of itself, has to do with the mind, and so the Bible talks about in 1 Corinthians the natural man. Well, that's literally the soulish man. It's psychikos. It's where we get our term psyche. It's where the term soul comes from. And so the natural man in 1 Corinthians 3 is somebody who's basically run by his intellect. And so then you have the spiritual man. And then the term for spirit is used in that same passage. And that's somebody who's run by his spirit, or specifically by the Spirit of God. And so that's kind of where you can find a distinction between the two. But again, it's not a hard and fast thing, because when you go through the Gospels, you can have parallel passages where soul and spirit are used interchangeably. So they're really tight. And so generally speaking, if I'm going to make a distinction, the spirit is the part of you that communicates with God. It's the part of you that's made alive when you become a Christian, and it's the immaterial part of mankind. And the soul, it has to do with your mind and with your will and the seat of your emotions, and it's the part of you that needs to be conformed to God's image. And so the spirit comes alive, and the soul is changed over time. And so that's generally the distinctions that I make. But again, they're really tight. So, it's not going to work in every area.
So the soul, I think of the soul as being eternal because you're cast into...
Yeah, you are you.
Yeah, hell or whatever. And then I always think the spirit of being alive or dead. Mm-hmm. But technically the spirit's eternal too. Mm-hmm. So that is they're interlinked close.
Yeah, they're closely interlinked. Yep.
Okay. All right, you good on that?
Yep. Good question. I like it.